Hello, and a very special on a roll welcome to my friend and yours, Caroline, owner of SideQuest Books and Games. Hey, Caroline, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. For those who don't know, which I'm assuming is all of you, myself and Caroline go way back. We went to university together, and now Caroline is living the literal dream. So I'm going to ask her all about it, find out how I can do it, teach everyone there how you can do it, and it will be a world full of amazing indie bookstores and games all around the globe.
Yay!
That's the aim. Global domination of local indie
Of small
bookstores.
businesses, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Um, for by way of an introduction, you are a a small business owner. You run and own a bookstore and indie kind of game store and big into TTRPGs, all the stuff that you've ever thought of. Ooh, what would I do if I could do anything? Caroline's doing it, which is why I wanted to talk to them. But could you let me and the audience know where the dream started and how you made it a reality from kind of seed of an idea all the way to what you do right now?
Yeah, for sure. Well, in terms of where it started, physically, literally, I am based in the United States. So that's probably one thing to call out is that I am an American, for better or at this point, probably worse. And I live back in Massachusetts despite having gone to, as Ben said, uni in Ireland. Um, But I, like any good English major, always wanted to own a bookstore. Um, and my particular flavor of nerd is that I've been a fantasy reader, writer, lover of all things fantasy since I was a wee young thing. And that has just stayed with me my whole life. And so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun to have one of these, niche bookstores are starting to become much more prevalent in terms of, genre focused bookstores. So I was like, fantasy bookstore, that would be really, really cool. But bookstores notoriously make zero money. In fact, they tend to cost money more than
Yeah.
they make money. Um, but the benefit of just kind of broadening it out to being like a fantasy themed store generally is that I could also bring in my other love, which is tabletop role-playing games. 10 or 12 years ago, I was introduced to D&D for the first time, everyone's gateway game. But I pretty rapidly moved from like D&D fan playing with my friends to running a beginner's table at my local comic book store to being paid to do D&D 101 classes, to being paid to DM mini campaigns for people, to learning all about the world beyond D&D and all these incredible indie TTRPGs that are being made by some phenomenal folks who just have really interesting ways of thinking about gaming experiences and mechanics and the types of stories we want to tell. So it's like, all the really good stuff is. Um, and so I was like, okay, we'll just be fantasy store generally. But it was never something that I really set out to like start as like, I'm going to get a rental of a brick and mortar and like have like launch this whole big thing. Um, it started because in my grown up real world life, I work for a tech company. I'm a conceptual database designer. That's my other flavor of nerd. Um, and I'm kind of an internal consultant for that company. So there are like times when I'm super busy and times when I'm not as busy. And in one of these particularly not busy periods of time, I also had kind of recently come back from maternity leave. I have a 3-year-old now. Um, and I was kind of looking for something to do because I am a type A driven by productivity kind of person. Um, and I was looking for something to do that really felt like me. I think a lot of new moms feel that, a lot of new parents feel that. And I was like, well, what if I just did a pop-up of like this little concept that I have? Um, and at this point, I had an Instagram account. That was my Bookstagram account. It was called SideQuest Reads, uh, because it was like my little side quest, in my own life as just this um, obsession with fantasy. Uh, and I was like, I'll just do a pop-up and just see what happens. And it was huge. It was wildly successful. I slid into the DMs of a local brewery that does like brunch on the weekend. And I was like, could I come for like a couple hours in the middle of the day and just like set up a table? And they were like, yeah, no problem. And I think I made like $1,400 that first
Nice.
pop-up.
Yeah.
And there were people who like had heard about it from my Instagram. Like I had started the shop Instagram and they had like come from my reading one to my shop one. And they were like super excited. I was like, maybe there's something here. We'll just see how it goes. Um, and after a year of pop-ups, I was able to secure rent at a 500 square foot shop within a larger outdoor market. Um, and I now have 3 employees, and we put on a dozen events or more every month. And I still have my day job
Yeah. Right.
in tech because Lord knows I don't pay myself
Mm.
for
This
any of this.
There's so much in that story that I think there's a lot of amazing advice. And I know we've talked about this. We even caught up last time you were in Ireland, and similar themes came up. That I think when people set out and go, I want to do this amazing thing, they see the end goal. They go, it's going to be 3 stories. There's going to be a podcast and streaming studio on the top. It's going to be a cafe during the day, a bar during the night. We're going to brew our own beer, and because they don't take it step by step, sort of either they put themselves in huge amount of debt, what will happen anyway with small steps, but more than necessary, and they don't build a little bit. And I can't believe I'm being this cheesy about it. Like how you level up a character, you have a little bit of stuff, and you sort of get to know how to use those abilities, and then you add a little bit on. And I think it's one of the reasons, aside from your smarts and your charm and people wanting to shop with you, the smart approach you've taken to building this out and continuing to build it so that you can see yourself now from very first pop-up to now with 3 employees. And I remember following on Instagram at the time and seeing just like boxes of books in your house. And that's the reality of it. It's like, oh, I guess that room is now inventory. It's like, and your business takes over your personal life a little bit. Work-life balance doesn't exist when we're a small-time business owner.
It doesn't exist. And like our car was our shop for months. Like when we finally got the actual store, my husband was relieved. He was like, the car is so much lighter. Like we're saving on gas. But no, you're so right. And I think my professional career in a tech product environment was a big part of my willingness to say, let's start with an MVP, a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
And see if there's product market fit here. Because the other thing about starting a location-based business, not like an online tech business or something like that, but something that's going to be physically in a space, especially a bookstore, you have to have the local audience that's going to come.
Yeah.
Right. And I lucked out. I live in Somerville, Massachusetts. There is big nerd energy here. They're just like all sorts of nerds, and my type of nerd, right? Like our type of nerd lives here. So not just D&D players, but specifically indie RPG players and indie RPG designers.
Yeah.
Like there's a community of those folks here in Somerville. And so moving to the pop-ups really gave me the data that I needed to say, how might this scale? And even before, like there was a step between mobile pop-up at brewery and my full brick and mortar, which was like a 2-month residency, if you will, in this really, really tiny shoebox in the same outdoor market that I'm in now, but it was like a much smaller unit. And I was there for just March and April of last year. And that really was I had 1 employee who I like contracted just for that amount of time. But I was able to be open consistently, 4 days a week, and just see what the traffic would be like, see what the interest would be like, see what the sales would be like. And that really was my big test to say, can I make this bigger spot work?
Yeah. And like it really is a slow and steady wins the race approach, because day to day things can change drastically, that if you don't have a sort of clear path, you don't want to be in a situation where it's like, we've opened a kitchen, we weren't ready to open a kitchen. Like,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that I see happen it's particularly, and I'm particularly aware of this being vegan, but to vegan places that are like, we're going to do a restaurant and we'll be retail in stores and we're going to like be open 3 places at once, and then they close, and I get really sad because like one of you would have done and I will travel there, because in a similar way, niche audiences like the event of going to something. I love going to bookstores because it's not as much as it's about picking up a book and you go in and go, I'll get one, and you leave at 10. But you're like, I'll get one. It's just browsing. It's nice. It's like, for me, I don't know if this is the literal definition. I still haven't wrapped my brain around what I think this means, because I know someone else corrected me recently, but like a third space, right? It's that kind of place you can hang out. Whereas someone was like, I don't think that's a third space. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't know what that means, which is quite possible.
One of the benefits, there is a special thing about bookstores. Bookstores are community hubs in a way that other retailers might not have quite that same position in the community. They have author events. They do a lot of, I mean, like I was saying, bookstores don't really make money, so you're kind of a nonprofit anyway. Just by like the fact of the matter.
Definition of us.
Of a nonprofit, making zero profit, But I think even if I were just a bookstore, I don't think I would be successful.
Right.
When I look at my reporting, it's like 50-50 in terms of like revenue, week over week, month over month, books and games. And then the majority of the games that I host and run at the store are, or the majority of events that I host are game events.
Right.
So I have book club, and I have like a craft cinema night and all that kind of stuff. But the vast majority of them are games. And it's a big draw for people. And even if they don't buy anything from the shop when they come to play a game, they're still coming to the space. They're thinking about it as a networking environment for them, and my shop, I'm the only woman-owned game store in Boston, in the greater Boston area. And I very intentionally center and highlight women and underrepresented creators, both in my books and in the games that we have. Yeah. And that really has, in a really positive way, influenced the community that's built up around this shop. So I'll have these RPG meet and greet nights where I just come to the store and everyone gets a name tag of like the nights that you're free, the system you want to play, whether you're willing to DM.
Yeah.
And those are like half women. And we get like 60 people. And so, I think people really recognize that this is a very intentionally safer place for folks who may have felt unwelcome or unsure about gaming TTRPG spaces historically.
No way.
So
you open the door and see like, I don't know, 3
We've
men
been
looking at you
here
angrily.
the whole time.
You're like, why are you so mean to? I haven't even come in yet. They're like, you're like, guys, chill.
But like women TTRPG players we've been here the whole time. We want to play.
Yeah.
So it is that kind of third space. It is that community building, networking. I will find people like me here space. And that's been probably the most gratifying part of all of this is having people say that, like I came to a D&D night here because SideQuest was organizing it, and I knew that I would have the type of experience that I'm looking to have.
Now, I admit I'm in a slight echo chamber of me, but I can feel that energy across the ocean. And because I know you, but I see it and I go, I wish we had something locally. And if we do, and I'm ignorant of it, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I knew about things we had locally. That have that same energy, that have that same approach, that have that, because we have game stores obviously in Ireland, but they tend to veer on this slightly unwelcoming, like you're bothering us sort of side of things, as opposed to the come on in, the more the merrier. We purposely set up that name tag is a symbol of invitation, because it's purposely set up to make this easier. And one thing about nerds is we're not always the most socially savvy people. We're not coming in there with high charisma checks being like, I've made 17 friends today. And I don't once think about like anything awkward I say. It's even happening to me, right? I can feel the spiral. It's always at the back of your brain. So I'll switch into a question.
This is what I'm going to ruminate on later. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. I'll switch into a question. So now that we know about SideQuest Games and Books, or Books and Games, I'll ruminate on that later as well. What's a day in the life or a week in the life? Because I know every day could be different, but like, what does your day look like?
Yeah, I think a week is probably the good way to look at it, because every day is a little bit different, but the weeks tend to look somewhat similar. Like I said, I am a parent, so there's always morning routine, daycare drop off, and then as much work as I can get done until daycare pickup, and then evening routine. So that like is the bracket of my day regardless. And I also, like I said, have my day job in tech. I work Monday to Thursday. So there's a lot of owning a bookstore that's doing stuff that's not owning the bookstore.
Right.
Like I said, I don't pay myself, so I still have to like make my mortgage. So that's where that comes in. But we're closed at the shop Monday, Tuesday, open Wednesday to Sunday. Monday is usually a nothing happens day. We might have a game in the shop in the evening. I work with a number of professional DMs who know the lockbox code, know how to set up the table, know how to turn on and off the lights, and know how to put the key back afterwards. So that's a lot of stuff that like I don't need to be there for, which is great. Tuesday is when we do our ordering. We do an order every week, and it's always books, not always games. Like I said, our revenue is about 50-50, but games tend to be a little bit more expensive than books, and we need to get books in more frequently than we need to get in games. But the ordering process is, wow, laborsome, a ton of work.
Right.
One of the folks who works for me is my assistant shop manager, and I've been teaching them a little bit more about the ordering process. So that's been huge, just to like get somebody else leveled up. I used to do all of the ordering myself on Sunday nights, and it was like 4 hours of my Sunday night every week.
Yeah.
So that now happens on Tuesdays, which is great. Wednesdays we're open. We also tend to, there could be events any given night, right? So there's always like, well, are we going to have to clear off the main table for a game that's coming in the evening? Whoever has the last shift has to know what to do. And then, Thursday and Friday is usually when we get boxes of inventory. So like in the middle of like having somebody come in and being like, hey, how's it going? Let me know if you have any questions. Are you looking for anything in particular? Whatever. We're also over here like, using the box cutter to open up the boxes and enter them into inventory and shelve them and deal with backstock. And we have zero storage. Like I said, this place is 500 square feet. I have like 2 shelves that I can have backstock on, and that's it, which is going to kill me, but whatever. And then on Friday is when I actually get to work behind the register on Fridays. And that's a very fun day for me. Anyone who has emailed me over the past couple weeks being like, hey, I'd love to like bring in samples. I make like candles, or I make earrings, or I'd like to talk to you about hosting a particular type of event or whatever. I'm always like, I am in the office for for Fridays if you want to come in and talk to me. So that's always a fun day. I love just chatting with people about books and games. I always ask, is there anything in particular you're looking for? Because book and game folks, like you said, not exactly high charisma, and usually introverts who won't necessarily say anything to me, even if they are looking for something in particular, unless I ask.
Yes. Yeah. I do that in stores. I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then I'll look for it for way longer than could have just been like, do you have this? And then at the very end, I'll be like, I'll pick up something to pretend I found that. I'm like,
Yeah.
there it is, right? And then I'll go up like, yeah, I was looking for this. Actually, do you have something else? And that's what I really came in
just
for.
happened to have this other thing
Yeah.
that just came to my
This
mind.
made me think of what's it called? I don't know. It's a book.
Has a
But
blue
yeah,
cover.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I love helping people find their next read, their next game, tell them about an event that's coming up that they might be interested in. So I get to do that on Fridays, which is awesome. And then I usually work either Saturday or Sunday. But in the midst of all that, it's replying to emails. Every time inventory comes in, it's like, were any of these special orders for somebody who filled out the form on our website? Make sure to keep those in reserve. Don't put it on the shelf for somebody else to buy. I do a ton of marketing. I drop my calendar of events like 2 weeks before the month begins. And those days are going to be the death of me. Those calendar drop days. Wow. I do all of the graphics. I do all of the Eventbrite stuff. I do all of the organization. I do all of the. Once I get paid by Eventbrite, I need to make sure that if a GM was running something, I pay them the amount that they're owed. And
Right.
Yeah, it's there are truly so many plates spinning at any given time. But I don't know if you've heard this sort of like classic thing. It's like, know which of the plates are rubber and which are glass.
No, but I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
The glass plates are like my child and my marriage.
Mhm.
Cannot drop those.
Yeah.
The rubber plates are like, we had an event that was supposed to happen this Saturday that probably isn't going to happen. And I just am going to have to cancel the 2 people who signed up and refund them their tickets and tell the GM that we will do a different event in the future. And that is okay. That is expected. That will happen. And having that perspective on like, what bad thing that's going to happen is like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Is really helpful. So
it's funny because I have my phrase at work as a copywriter and kind of a creative director is knowing what's sand and what's glass. So it's funny that glass is in. So when I come up with an idea, and to give you a sort of a taste of one of the ones today without naming anything kind of confidential, but I had an idea and in the script it was like friends were buying tickets to like a festival and they were like, could it be a concert? And I'm like, yeah, that's sand. You can like that's fine. But if it was like, could it not be friends like collectively buying tickets or something? It kind of has to be that for what we're doing. So it can't be anything else. So that's the glass part. So my job is essentially to protect the glass of an idea and clients and my creative partners or anyone else I work with shape the sand with them. Because from brief to the ad you see on television, a lot's going to change. I'm always surprised if you're like, oh yeah, that's where we started.
yeah.
And if very little changes, that's also good. But I think you have to be open to that. And it sounds like a similar attitude to you have to be, and it's tough because nerds, our charisma mightn't be that high. And I actually think that as a stereotype, it's falling away, but it's fun to joke about. But our perfectionistness definitely is, and so and knowing what's good enough because we're the A+ kids. Like it's what we value ourselves on. It's like I gotta be the best at this because if I'm not gonna be the fastest and I'm not gonna be the handsomest and I'm not gonna be the jockiest, I'm gonna be the smartest. Or the most perfect in my own way. And then growing up, it's just learning. That was such a great learning to be like, oh, this is fine. I can actually be the chillest.
Yeah. And that's, I'm definitely, like I was saying, I'm definitely a like type A, productivity driven, perfectionist type human. Therapy, highly recommend. Definitely helps a lot with that. But in starting this shop, I had a lot of insecurity about it. And I think a lot of imposter syndrome, especially on the gaming side of things. And I think a lot of that comes from being a woman in this space and feeling like, someone's going to come in and be like, well, you don't know about this particular type of whatever from AD&D. And I'll be like, actually, fuck you. But there is that fear that if you're putting yourself out there as an expert in a field, what does that mean? And how can you take up a position of authority without feeling like you have to know absolutely everything about everything? Because that's completely impossible. No one is going to do that. But how can you turn that idea of expert away from just wizard book smarts knowledge to an expert in a way to approach a field?
Yes.
Right. So like, I feel like actually at this point, it's only been a couple months, but well, no, it's been a year and a half really of this whole journey. And I feel like I'm an expert now in terms of understanding how to help people find the next thing that they might be looking for, really smart ways to run games that use things like safety tools and talking about like what makes a successful game and what's a successful session, and helping people network and find each other. And like yes, I'm a book and game store owner, and what that means is I'm an accountant, I'm an employer, I'm all these other things, but I'm also like a marketer and event programmer. And that's a huge part of what I do. And I feel like I've gotten really good at that. And I haven't read every book on the shelf, and I haven't played every game on the shelf. And that's not the point, actually. I will always be curious about whatever somebody else has that they're excited about. So
that's it. And I think that harks back to the third space of it, which is staying open and having chats. So when someone comes in and goes, "Oh, hey, you recommended me this last week. I really loved it. It reminded me of this book." Your brain goes, "Great, good to know."
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Like I'm adding that to my
perfect.
list
So
now.
the next time someone comes in and asks for something, it's like, well, if you liked this, you'll like this. Or because people are around, and this is one of the lovely things in these spaces. And as you get to know business owners, that lovely moment of like, I don't know, but actually one of my regulars is here. Hey Ben, like this seems like a question for you. And you just know that they'll like handle it perfectly fine and represent your business in a really nice way. And it's just a sweet community of nerds helping nerds like open the gates to all the wonderful stuff that's out there.
That happens a lot, especially if there are like lesbians who are really into high fantasy will just find each other and they will just talk about their favorite books. And I love them.
Nice. I'll start to wrap us up. We've talked around this question, and I think anyone who's been paying attention has gleaned their own advice from this. But I was wondering if there's any advice you'd give to someone looking to set up their own business, or even if it's reiterating what we've already gone over, just like, hey, it's been a couple of minutes, you might have forgotten this point. There is like a guiding principle. I suppose the very hacky way to ask is if you could say something to yourself like 2 years ago, what advice would you have given them?
I think I've actually been incredibly lucky in that I really feel like the approach that I took of starting small and not putting too much pressure on where it was going to go really worked well for me personally. I was incredibly privileged to be able to take that position. I have a job that pays well, that has really good work-life balance, and I was able to make those hours work. And to this day, that is the thing that enables me to do this. But if you have the ability to take it slow and not put too much pressure on the project or yourself, and not have too many expectations and just kind of see where it goes, especially for something that's a passion project for you, that will keep it a passion.
Yes. Yeah.
And not turn it into a shitty slog that's just killing you.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it reminds me of advice I was given like a couple of years ago by a content creator, and I was kind of when I was starting Homebrew, and they were like, "Ben, you really love this. Don't monetize the thing you love, because it will become work, and this should be play." Now, that doesn't apply in the situation of running a business. Monetize your business.
Yes.
But
I thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I was like, is that going to happen to me?
Mm.
And I think if I had quit my job and was trying to make this my income, that would have happened 1,000,000%.
It's a huge, huge danger. Um, Oddly, the advice you gave is the same advice every GM and DM in the world should know about their own sessions. Like that
Yes.
kind of that post session, everyone hates me. They had a terrible time. This is all. That's that same part of the negative part of your brain that criticizes something, where it's just like, be open to where this is going. You know, don't put too much pressure on yourself or the project. The project in this case being the game and campaign you're running, and just enjoy it,
Yeah.
because Lord knows the world will try take your joy in other places. So find it in the places you have.
Well,
Um,
and it's exactly the advice that I give to somebody messaged me literally last night saying, I want to play with my coworkers. They're like 17 of us. What if we did like a drop in, drop out? Like we made a whole world together, like a
yeah.
West Marches style thing. But what if we used kids on bikes instead of D&D? And I was like, all of this sounds awesome. I would say do a world building session. If
Yeah.
that's as far as it goes, fine. You still had fun. You still were creative with people that you enjoy spending time with.
Mhm.
You've won. You did it. If you get
Yeah.
one session after that, incredible. If you get two, amazing. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
having all of these expectations, and I think like as much as I love actual play and as much as I think that actual play has done so much for gaming generally,
Hmm.
it has resulted in a little bit of pressure around like it has to be a streamed professional, like
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't have to be that
No.
actually. Just start
No.
small. Just start
Yeah.
small and have fun.
Yeah. 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 It's the joke we have amongst like streamer friends of ours and content creation friends of ours is when we message each other, it's like, do you want to play a game? It's like, and this one, as a little twist, is not going to be for other people's entertainment. It's like, whoa, yeah, let's just hang out.
Yeah.
Because it's a big, big part of it. Like the more you get to play, the more fun you will have, and the more you'll learn, and the more you'll um kind of fulfill your life in a really fun. And like we had it was probably like 6 months ago now, but we had a huge episode about burnout or hobbies. When you
Yeah.
love something so much, and then you can't like stand the if it was like a meal, you can't stand the taste of it anymore. And to give yourself breaks, because that happens whether it's on the internet for consumption or just for your friends. That kind of see it all the time. Someone's laid out their snacks, they got everything over, they're waiting at the door, it's meant to ring, and then the first text comes in, sorry, I can't make it. Then the rest of the texts come in, and you can't help but feel like they talking beforehand? Did they coordinate this? This feels personal, even though life gets in the way. That's just what life does. Um, so yeah, it's have fun is the have fun and check in on yourself is a good
Yeah.
place to.
And and know what you're ready for, right? Like
Yeah.
I stopped DMing for a good couple months, just because I was like, I don't have the time for that right now. And it will come back when I'm ready, right?
Yeah.
And I'm having session one of a 3 session little mini campaign on Tuesday, right? So like
Nice.
it's coming back.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a blast. We are playing D&D with the Hit Point Press Hexbound supplement, which I've
Right.
updated for 2024 rules. Anyway, it's gonna be really fun. But it came back, right? Like I've set up enough processes and systems and patterns with how the shop runs.
Hmm.
Um, there was a lot of startup costs and energy with that, but
Yeah.
now we're at a point where I can get to have a little bit of my fun side of it too myself. So
Nice. That's really wonderful to hear. My next question, I normally don't ask guests for obvious reasons, but where can people literally physically find you in the world? And I
yeah.
wouldn't really be asking, but in this particular case, you have a physical brick and mortar store that if anyone is nearby or anyone's watching, they can drop into and
They
say
can.
hello to you on Friday.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone has happened to going to Boston, we're just north of Boston in Somerville, Massachusetts. We are in Bow Market, which is a sort of uh, collection of small businesses and sort of this open air outdoor market. And yeah, we do a lot in our little space. We're very resourceful, and we're on Instagram, for better or worse, SideQuest Books. We have a Blue Sky now, SideQuest Books. Um, If you ever want to come to an event, I would recommend subscribing to our Eventbrite profile, because that shit sells out before I even market it on any of the social channels. And then I'm trying to get our newsletter back up and running, but one thing at a time. That's a rubber plate.
We can take our own advice here on that one, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, we're at
sure.
Bell Market. And the biggest event that we have coming up at the end of March is our first con. We're putting on a little mini RPG convention March 29th at a brewery in Somerville. So
that sounds so cool. Like and you can't say a sequence of words that's more appealing to specifically me and all the stuff I do online.
Go to Boston. It's a pretty easy flight.
I should just fly over. I cannot recommend following SideQuest on any social channel, because quite literally, I think of all the books I read last year, a good third of them were just from following you and seeing recommendations. And they're good. And some of them are a little spicy. All of them are a little bit spicy. Some of them are a little bit spicy, so you can enjoy. But yes, if you're not in Massachusetts, but you are on the internet, and I know you are because you're watching this, there's no other way for you to be watching this, then right now, pause the interview, pause the show. Don't worry about us back in the studio. Go over and follow SideQuest on whatever your social platform of choice that they're also on. Caroline, thank you so much. This was just a lovely chat about all the things I really enjoy. If there's anything else, if there's any closing comments, feel free. Now's the time. But if not, I
think that's everything. Yeah.
Right. Well,
thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. Honestly, it won't be the last time. And there's an open door, an open invitation to the studio. If you have anything you ever want to chat about, it doesn't have to be about your business. If you have just TTRPG stuff, then come on in.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, do. I'm sure there's already in my brain. I'm like, right, helping people run those one-on-one intro sessions, helping people, all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty to talk about, and other systems and nights and how it's all going. But I suppose with that done, it's back to Ben and Declan in the studio.